Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
I can see.
Okay. Okay. So now we are going to learn how the whole process that that go on when you try to solve the internet. Okay. With this picture here, you can see it looks like a browser, right? If you check your browser, you'll be seeing these some of these icons, though it doesn't look exactly like a browser, but yeah. So now this is what happens when you try typing in a web address or website name, right? For instance, we are typing google.com here, right? Now, when you type a URL in your browser, it takes a process, even though we don't really notice it, but it's because it's very fast, right? Now, this is the process it goes, right? When you click on google.com, now it queries your internet service provider, kind of asking a question. Now, your internet service provider now could be your, for instance, now is kind of the people you pay to enable you solve the internet. In Nigeria, we subscribe with either MTN, Airtel, or any other service provider, right? Then your service provider queries this. This is called domain name server. Now, last class, someone asked about domain or something. They will talk more about it later. But now, domain name is where you get your name, like your website name, right? Where you get your website name, okay? It's just like a phone book where we have all the names of the whole websites that exist. So it's not stationed in one place. You could have different servers, right? It's not just in one place. So you can see it as a phone book where we have names, right? So now what happens is this. It goes to this domain name server, right? They'll be like, maybe they don't know the person. Just like this, this illustration says here, I don't know the person personally, but I know where the person resides. This is the address. Now, what happens again is this. When you build your website, you take it to the cloud or a server. It's called a server, where you save it. Those your files that are in your laptop, right? You take it to the server. And when you take it there, it is being stored with an address. It's being stored with an address. That's the IP address now, or this address you're seeing here now, the 172.217.723. Most websites have similar address, not the exact number, of course, right? So when you take your web pages or your files, right? Please don't get confused when I use these words interchangeably, right? Now, when you have your web pages, it could be a file too. So when you take it to the server, of course, you pay for their services for saving those files there, right? Now, they assign you this address. They assign you this address now, okay? Now, you could use this address to search for websites. Yes, you could use their addresses to search for the websites. But the thing there is now, this will be difficult to cram. Imagine having like 20 different websites, or let's even say 5 different websites, and you have to cram their addresses like this. It will be difficult to remember them, right? It will be difficult to remember them. So when you search, your your internet service provider will query this domain name server. It will bring back address of this website you're saying now. Let's say, for instance, now, in your streets, right? Street numbers have been assigned to houses. Maybe you don't know your neighbor personally, right? But you know that you have a new neighbor here. Someone might be asking you for maybe for someone who lives in your street. They might give a description of the person and be like, okay, this person lives here, but I don't know the person, I don't know him personally, or I don't know them personally, right? But this is the address. That's what is happening here now. So when they return the address to your browser, now, they will now use this address. They will now use this address now to go look for the person. Now, this address is going to the server I told you, where you save your files or your web pages, right? It will go to that server with this address. Once it gets to this address, they'll be like, okay, this is the person you're looking for. Like I said, every website have their addresses, right? So when they bring them to this address, they'll be like, okay, this is the person you're looking for. And they'll return whatever you're looking for from them. Of course, what you are looking for now is this the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. That's what makes up a website, basically, right? Like we discussed in our last class. So it will return these pages. In this case now, it will return the home page, right? Or the landing page. Just like when you open facebook.com, the first page you see is called the landing page or the home page. The two are the same thing, right? When you open facebook.com, it will show you, okay, let's go ahead and check our browser. So when you type facebook.com, this is the landing page, right? Or the home page. So now when I type facebook.com, that process I just presented is what happens behind the scene. But you see how fast it came up with this. You wouldn't even notice, right? You wouldn't even notice. But that's the process it goes. Now, if I click on maybe add my details here and click on login, you send another message. It goes. Now, what it will do now is, because we know the address now, right? We know the address. You don't need to ask questions again. So what it will do now, if I enter my details now and click on login, it will take me to that address and be like, okay, I want to bring out this particular page, which is my profile page now, right? That's what I'm requesting from when I click on login. Then if you click on friends, it will still go back and query that server, right? Okay, I'm looking for this page, and it will display it on your browser, right? So that's the back and forth that happens within seconds that you wouldn't even notice. Now, the reason for the domain name now, just like this Facebook, is because we cannot remember those numbers for different websites. That's why the domain name was kind of invented to make it easier to remember. You can remember facebook.com, you can remember google.com, you can remember nectilify.com. So it's easier to remember by names. Okay, so when you're hosting your website now, you could the same platform could provide you with domain name and where you can, the server, where you can upload your files or save your files. That is your web pages now, right? Sometimes you can buy a domain name from different platform and integrate it with where your website resides. We'll talk more on that later, okay? So don't get confused about that. So now you can go to google.com. It will give you this page, right? It will give you this page. So what if that address we saw before now, let's say 172.217.7.23. So it should also give us the same page because that's the address of google.com. I think my internet is acting up. So it could also give us the same thing. You can also go online and sorry. If you search online and now they say this is the IP address for Facebook. Let's see if it will work. It's saying it's not secured. So what I'm trying to explain is this. We have different IP addresses or different addresses for all the websites. So it was made a lot easier with the name, okay? With the name. So that is basically what happens when you try surfing the internet, okay? So another thing I want us to look at is file organization, okay? It's very important because it will help you a lot in organizing your files, okay? It will help you a lot in organizing your files when you're creating your website so it doesn't look untidy. I bet you most of us, our desktop is very, very untidy. Like our desktop is very untidy. You might see a music file, yeah? You might see a video, you might see a Word document. That's where it starts. Okay, so now, let's say we have a folder, right? We could name it, let's say, upskill 23, right? Upskill 23. Inside this folder now, inside this folder, you can also create other folders. You can create other folders here. Let's assume images. Okay, now before we go, let me just use the one we are familiar with for now. Maybe in your laptop, you have folder for movies, right? You have folder for movies. So you might come into someone's folder and see all the movies lined up. Both Nigerian movie, Indian movie, seasonal movie, they will all be scattered here, right? So the right thing to do is to kind of create folders for them. So it will make sense. You could create seasonal movie folder, Nigerian movie folder, maybe American movie folder, right? Or foreign movie folder. Likewise, in your music folder, you could have blues, you could have reggae, you could have, I don't know if you're getting me. So it's important to organize your files and folders for easier access. So you don't end up maybe searching for a particular file for like an hour. I know most of us must have witnessed that. Maybe you can't remember where you saved or where we saved that particular file. And we search, you just like ransack the whole laptop looking for it. Whereas you would have saved yourself that stress by putting it in a folder that will make it easier for you to remember. Okay. So we'll see how that will help us in our in creating our projects. To go a long way in helping us in creating our projects. Okay. So that's that for file organization. So now, if you're with your laptop, I believe you must have had the tools I mentioned in the last class installed. So if you have it ready, just go ahead and open it. Okay, go ahead and open it. So these are my Visual Studio Code. So wait for it to load. Okay, I have some of these things open. So I'll go ahead and open another window. So this is how it looks like when you open yours. Please indicate in the chat if you have your own open. Okay, okay. All right, I can see some people acknowledging that. Now, there's one way you can, now you can see nothing is open here now. Don't have any working folder here, right? This is where your working folder should be. This icon now is where your working files and folder will be, okay? For here, it's for your search, where you can search for maybe a file. If you have too many files to search for, you can search it. So this for your Git and GitHub. We'll come to that later in the program. Okay. Then this for debugging too. Debugging now is kind of finding and fixing faults or errors. That's what the debug means. So when you say you want to debug your code or your program, means you want to it's having an error. So you want to find out where the error is coming from and fix it. Okay. And this is extensions. Now these extensions, they are just they are here to help you build faster, or they are here to help you develop your programs faster and efficiently. Some of them, these are some of the ones I have installed. Okay, some of them I have installed. So they help you in building your projects. Now this live share is for maybe if you want to collaborate with your friend or your colleague. So this will make this live share now will enable you guys work on the same, should I say, remotely. You can edit whatever they're doing will be showing on your own Visual Studio Code. Okay. Okay, don't worry about that. You can, I don't know the version you're using though, but let me see if live share is here. Okay, you can install the live share. Can you install the live share? This is an extension that helps you. Shift this. Okay, so here you can see the file menu, you can see the options.
I think Mosh mistakenly, it might be his network. It might be his network. Like, let's just chill. Let me contact him and see. I think his network probably pushed him out of the meeting, but let me contact him and see if it's his network. Just give me a second.
Hello.
First network out of the meeting. So I'm trying to reach him. I can't call because if I call, to mean that I left I have to leave. And I'm sure he'll be joining. The rain is really bad and we stay. Sorry, bad. Where we staying, there was just a heavy rainfall just now. People that are living in Enugu, there was just heavy rain that. So let's just exercise more patience. I'm sure that if you can go, Moshe will be back. Please, let's just. This, right?
Oh, okay. Some people are saying file management. Some people are saying, okay, no problem. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay, so yeah. Okay, let me bring this out again. Probably delete this. Okay, what I was saying, yes, the file extension is very important, right? I explained with our the files we are used to, the images, the Word documents, the PowerPoint documents, right? When you see a document that has .ppt extension, when I mean extension is what is after this dot. After this dot, whatever is here now indicates what the file type is. The program that will be opened, that will open the file, or the program that was used to create the file. That's what the extension will indicate. Okay, so every file has an extension. So it's important to note that we have .jpg, that is for images, or JPEG, that is images too. We have GIF as a different type of images, mostly live images, right? Then we have .ppt, that's PowerPoint, .doc, that is documents, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the same thing applies here. Now you can see the extension made the difference here. With the different extensions, we have different icons, right? And any file that has .html is a web document. Okay. Okay, yes, yes. So any file that has .html is Okay, I hope you guys can see my screen now, like everybody. Please let me know when you stop seeing my screen, because the network, I don't know what's happening here. Okay, okay, good. So if you check, let me see. If you check the file here, this index.html, it became a web document, right? The Chrome icon is showing because Chrome is my default browser. So whichever one is your default browser, that's the icon that will be here when you save this file as .html, right? So if your Chrome, if your own is not showing Chrome, don't worry about it. It's because whatever browser is showing is your default browser, okay? So every .html file is a web file, right? Then this script.js means it's a JavaScript file, right? Then this style.css means is a CSS file, right? And I explained what CSS means, cascading style sheet, okay? So these are the three basic files we be using. You'll be using in creating a web page, right? These are the three major files, right? Like I explained in our first class, the CSS will be used to kind of beautify our HTML documents. Now, note the terms I'm using, right? This could be called HTML documents, right? It could be called document. It could be called file, right? So don't get confused about that. Now the HTML we say is the backbone of every web page. Now, first of all, this index.html has a meaning. The index there has a meaning, right? Remember, we could have, let's say we could have about.html, okay? We could have contacts.html, okay? We could have these files. We could have these files, right? Now, with the names, you could know what it means, or you should know what it means, right? Because now in some of the websites we have surfed or we have visited, right? You see they have links for contact us, about us, right? They have links for those things. So those things are different web pages too. They are different web pages, right? So, but this index has a meaning to your browser. Imagine we just named this home.html and give others contacts.html, about.html, and yeah, the rest of them. Your browser wouldn't know which one is a landing page. You know, automatically when you upload your site to the server, like now, if you're creating this file now, okay, let me make you understand what the server means, right? If you create your website now here, as we are going to do now, or in this program, right? It will reside in your laptop. the whole files, these files now. Now, this index.html is a web page, right? This contact.html is a web page. The same thing with about.html. So when you combine them, that gives you a website. So in other words, a website is a collection of web pages. I hope that is clear now. Now, if we create all these web pages, it will reside in our laptop. If one want to show off our work or this our websites, the person has to come down to our laptop, or we'll carry our laptop to show the person, right? Which could not be, imagine you want to show your brother that is maybe in another country. Of course, there's no way you can do that, right? So that's why there is a kind of a server where you can take all these files and put them there. It will save it for you there, right? So when you host it now, it's called hosting, like taking your files now and putting it in the server. By doing it that way, you can now share the address of that your website. Now that's where the domain name comes in, like I explained earlier. So you get a domain name for it. It could be upscale.upscale23.com. So when you send that address to anybody in the world, once they click on it, it will take them to your web pages. Now, because they are online, they are in the server, they are in the cloud, right? When I mean cloud now, is off your laptop. Now is online. It's somewhere in the server, okay? So anybody can access it because it's in the server, not in your laptop like anymore. So when you send the address to them, they can now access these pages, right? I hope that makes sense. So the index now is the way your browser recognizes which one is the landing page or which one is the home page. Even if you name this thing home page, it will not work, right? It will not work. It has to be indexed. The index now means this is the first page or the number one in these pages, in these web pages. So the browser recognizes that index and sees it as your home page. Just like I showed you when you open facebook.com, that page it thinks first is the index page. So it's important to understand the to understand the meaning of the name index. It's not just a name we decided to name it. Of course, you can name your other pages, whichever name that describes what will be inside. Yeah, another thing I omitted in the file management is naming your files or folders rather. Yeah, naming your files and folders in a way that describes, okay, now naming your folders in a way that describes the files that will be inside is important. So you don't confuse the stuffs inside. Okay, it's important you know you use a descriptive name for your folders, right? So just like the same thing with this file now, when you say contact.html means that's how users or clients will contact you through your website. Okay, it could be your phone number, email address, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that's that. Then you can see how different file types are in the same parent folder, which could be a little bit untidy, right? So yes, in your website, you could have more than one CSS file. You can have more than one CSS file. You can have more than one JavaScript file. But for now, we are going to be using one. But should in case you have more than, so it's advised not to mix up different files here, right? So it's advised to create folders for them. If you go to your folder, you can see we have this file. So whatever you're creating in this VS Code, as long as you open this file, this folder rather, inside the VS Code, whatever you're creating here will be showing here. It will be reflecting here, right? It will be reflecting here. If I also come here and create, okay, let's see if I can create folder here. Just be watching my VS Code. We name it images. And hit enter. You can see automatically is here, right? We have images folder here, right? You can also do the same here. Now, images now, you know, it will be also very untidy if you also have images in the same parent folder here. It will be littered and untidy, right? So we can also, yeah, that's why you have to create folder for images where you add your images that you'll be using to work. You can also create another folder called CSS, right? Then you take your CSS file and put in that. You can drag and drop inside that folder. It will prompt you to confirm that you want to move it. Then you click on move to be inside it. Now, take note of this line now, right? You can see this style of CSS now is kind of inside. It's not on the same line with these ones. You can see the tiny line. Let me see if I can increase this. Okay. You can see the tiny line showing, right? This is linking to other files in the upscale folder, right? This one is being pushed inside. It's called indenting. It's been indented because it's indicating that this file is inside this folder. So when I click on this arrow now, you can see they're on the same line. So when you click on this one, it will open the things inside the folder. So now, also mind you, when you're creating files and folder here, right? So you don't click on folder and add an extension to it. It will not work. Okay. It will not work. So when you're creating a folder, make sure it's a folder that is going to contain files. This is the icon for creating files. It will also indicate it there, new file, right? So when you click on it, you create your file. This is how I created all these files there. When you click on create file, right? You can create, let me say index2.html. Okay. So this is how I create. Someone was asking how I created the files. This is how you create your files, okay? So let me delete it because we're now having two index here. So it's been deleted. So you can also create, when you right click here too, you can go to, okay, sorry. So you can create another folder called JS. JS is for short JavaScript, right? So we drag and drop inside the folder and click on move, right? Now we have only our web documents in the parent folder. Now, if you go to the folder now, you can see how it's been arranged, right? So you know that everything inside this folder will be about JavaScript. Everything here will be about images. Everything here will be about CSS. Then everything here now will be about the web files, right? Now, another thing you should mind is this index.html. Don't put it in a folder. Let it reside in the parent folder. Like this upscale now is the parent folder. Let it reside inside there. Don't put it in a folder. Okay. So I believe we are clear on that. So we can close up all these ones. Okay. So now, getting to the HTML. Now, this is the basic structure of our web page. Okay. Now, what I mean by parent folder is this. This a parent folder is a folder that houses other files or folders, further folders, right? Like we have folders now here. This is a CSS folder, this is an images folder, this is a JavaScript folder. And these folders are also inside this upscale. They are also inside this upscale. So this upscale now is the parent folder of these items. That's what I mean by parent folder. You can create a folder here, just like this on your desktop, and you add files inside it, or you can also create folders inside it too. Okay. So now you don't have to put your index.html inside the folder, because once you upload it to the server, it will look out for this index in this parent folder, because this index is automatically the landing page or the home page of every website. So if you're hiding the index folder, there's no way it could find it, the home page, at least the first page to render. When I mean render now is to display. Rendering and displaying, they are the same thing. So the browser checks for this index file and displays it first as your home page or your landing page. So when you put it in a folder, there will be no index page to render. It cannot go inside folders to search for it. That's why you have to leave it at the parent folder. Okay. So you can close out this menu by clicking on or toggling on it. Okay. So now the HTML we say is the backbone of every website. The backbone, the structure of every website. Like inside the house now, you have a room. You have different rooms, right? You create different rooms. Now you have the kitchen, you have the living room, you have the dining room, you also have the bedrooms, right? So these are structures created by or segments created by the engineer, right? So this the same thing with the HTML. You create these sections where they will be, how things will be organized in your website. Let's say we go to the facebook.com. So these things you're seeing now is these kind of a HTML element being styled with CSS, right? This one is okay, let me quickly do something. Now, this is the more reason we recommend Firefox or Google Chrome, right? This is the main reason. It gives you access to developer tools. That's what we call developer tools. Okay. So when you right click on your web page or on your window, so if I right click and do inspect, it will bring this thing up. Right? It will bring out this thing for us. Okay. Now we'll talk more on this later on, but this gives you access to know how the structure of a website is, right? Now, everything you click is showing, is reflecting on the browser, right? So this, you can see the name of this thing now is, I will explain this later. Just let me try explaining what I want to explain first. You can see this now. When I hover over this now, these are HTML elements, right? In fact, this whole thing we are seeing here now is HTML elements. They are HTML elements, right? So you can see how they are being located. This is this, right? So we use HTML. We use HTML to define the structure of our web page, the structure where things will be or how things will be structured. I use the house as an example, where you have your sitting room, where you have your living room, where you have your bedrooms, kitchen, dining, toilets, and so on and so forth, right? So that's what HTML does for you. It enables you create structures. Okay, so now this HTML now has tags. These tags are like the things we use to build these structures, right? Just like brick by brick, you build your house structures, okay? So we have so many tags in HTML. Of course, you cannot know them all. You cannot know the whole tags. It's not possible. You know, I always say this when I was starting out, I would be writing down tags in my big book. I still have that book in my shelves. I'd be writing tags down in order to cram them. At the time, it became overwhelming for me. I had to stop. That's the wrong way to do that. So don't worry about the tags you don't know. The only thing you should worry about now is the tags that you'll be using at that moment, okay? So with time, when you use tags, you get to know them. You don't need to cram them beforehand, no. It's when you want to use them or when you continually use the ones that are important or that are needed for that particular project you're building, and you get to know them. And believe me, just like ABCD, right? When you continually use these things, it will stick. You don't need to like stretch yourself again to remember. Okay, so first of all, every HTML page, every web page you visit has this, okay, first of all, we use this. Now, what does this indicate now? Just like the writing, just like the writing here, right? It's saying doc type. This doc means document. Remember I told you this HTML is a web document, right? So every web page is a web document. Just like we have Word documents. So this document is for the web. It's not for word processors, right? So now this is indicating the document type, and we say it's HTML, right? Now, before now, we used to have a long, this thing here, a long description here indicating the document type, because HTML had versions. right? It had versions. You know, there are just like Oxford gives us the way we use they are the ones that like provide the structures of English or the syntax or the syllables. Okay. They provide the way there's a body that provides the way we use English, the way we are supposed to use some words in sentences, right? The same thing applies to this Word document. There's a body that handles how you use your tags, how you structure your web pages, right? How you structure your web pages. There is also a body that controls that. So that's why we have versions, just like we have our versions in our dictionary, right? So that's the same thing. Now, this is for HTML5, version 5. Okay, this is how you indicate the document type, right? We have the version 3, we have the version 4, the version 2, right? But it has a long description, like I said before. But in the version 5, they made it simple. Just to indicate the document type, you just have to write this. The exclamation mark, don't forget that. And the document type, which is HTML. So this thing must come first in every document. Like it has to be there first, right? Then on the second line is where you have your HTML tag. Okay, HTML tag. Now, your own might not be like okay, I don't, maybe if your own is auto-completing, it's fine. If it is not, maybe you have to get an extension for it. Okay, but I think it should be auto-completing like that. So this HTML now, this is called a tag, right? Now, just like if I hover over this now, it's showing me something now, information about this tag, right? It said the HTML element represents the root of an HTML document. Okay, so every other thing we are going to be doing will be inside this, between these HTML tags, right? So now, this tag, these are some of it's used to house some of the things we'll be using, some of the building blocks. Now, what makes up a tag is this the right angle bracket and the left angle bracket, right? With the name of the tag. The name of this tag is HTML. Now, some tags will have opening and closing tag. The difference is the / before the name of the tag. This indicates the closing tag. This indicates the opening tag. The closing tag has a / before the name of the tag. They're all enclosed inside the left angle bracket and the right angle bracket. Okay. So these tags are used to structure our HTML, our documents rather. They are used to structure our documents. Okay. So now, because English, just for instance, now English has a standard format for writing the English, right? They have rules and regulations guiding the English language. The same thing is with HTML documents, right? There are rules and regulations. Now, that's what we call syntax. Syntax is the way you write your HTML documents, the way you write it, okay? So I'm trying to show us the basic structure So after HTML, we have a tag called the head tag. Sorry, the head tag. The head tag. Okay. And the head tag now we have something. Okay. Sorry, I was logged out and logged in again. Let me reshare my screen. Okay. So the head tag houses the things that are not going to display in your browser. Okay. Are not going to display in your browser. You have the meta tag. We have the title tag. The title tag, right? Now this title will show on your browser. Let's say we have, just name it upscale, right? Now you can write between these opening and closing tags. You can write between them. So whatever you're writing between them, it should show, or that's what we show. Okay, whatever is between the opening and closing tag is what we show, right? Then sometimes you see you will be having things inside the opening tag. The opening tag of the opening tag of a tag. Remember I said we have opening and closing tag. So sometimes we have to write things inside it, just like here. Now this means we are indicating the language we are using, right? Sometimes you might see different languages. Could be a Spanish. Maybe the website was, we have websites written in Spanish, written in Chinese, written in different languages. So here you indicate the languages now. Okay. So we have this title here. Then later on, we also discuss more things that are being housed inside this head tag. Okay, are being housed inside this head tag. So the meta tag is further describes the document. It further describes the document. It doesn't show on the browser, except this title, and I will show you where this title displays, right? But yeah, tonight we are going to write our first hello world. Okay, our first hello world. So we have different tags also. Aside this head tag, we also have a header tag. A header tag. Okay, we have a header tag. We have a div tag. It has opening and closing. We have a paragraph tag. It has opening and closing. We have, now listen carefully now. We have a head tag. We have a header tag. We also have a heading tag. Now you see what is showing here now. The H1 element represents a section heading, right? Now you can see the header element represents introductory content for its nearest ancestor. Okay. Then the head tag, you can see how different they are, right? So don't confuse them. We also have now in the heading tag family, we have H1 to H6. Okay. We have H4. You can see showing us here H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So we have H1 up to H6. Okay. Now the H1 is most important in the heading family, right? Is the most important and is very bold. It's very bold. Yeah. Now let it not be as if you're just doing theory. Okay. Now see what you can do now. If you go to your folder now, and double click on this heading, on this index, because it's a Word document, because it's a web document. If you double click on it, it will open your browser. Remember I told you the extension determines the program or the software that will be used to open this file or used to create this file, right? So in this case now, the browser is going to be used to open this file. So if I double click on this, it should open my browser automatically. It should open my browser automatically. Okay. It will open my browser automatically. Then if you have, let me just close this, okay? Then if you have an extension called Go Live or Live Server, okay? You can see the live server here, which I have. This is the live server. The live server, you can go ahead and install it, right? So what does it do for you? Just one simple thing. When you click on Go Live, opens your browser, right? Then the live in the server is whatever changes you will do here now, you automatically reflect in your browser, right? Because if I open it from here, if I do any changes here, I have to go ahead and refresh my browser. And let's just see how it works. So if I come here and add okay, heading 2, then I go to my browser. You're not seeing heading 2 here, right? Unless we refresh our browser, we'll see the heading 2, right? We'll see the heading 2. But with live server, It's live server. We don't need to refresh our browser. So it's starting up our live server. So we have heading 2 here. So if you go here and add heading 3, okay. So if you go to our browser, you should see heading 3 without refreshing the browser. So that's the difference. Now you can see heading 1 is bold and bigger. Then the H2 is bold but smaller than the H1. The same thing with H3. So that's how it is. That's how it is, okay? So we have different tags. We have a lot of tags like used in structuring our documents. We have a lot of tags, right? Now for this heading now, it doesn't show, you can see every other thing is showing here, but that title is not showing. This is where the title shows. If I hover over here now, you can see it's showing me upscale, right? With the address. Now it's giving me that address because I'm using live server. You can see the address here because I'm using live server. If you're opening it from the folder, it will not give you that address. Okay. So now we have upscale as the title here. So when you visit different web pages, it should indicate from the title of that particular page, if it is home page or about page. Let's say about page. So when we go to our browser now and hover there, you can see it's changed to about page. Okay. So you can go ahead and use your H1 and say, hello world. So this is our first web page for this program using the H1 tag. Using the H1 tag, right? This is our first web page. So like I said before, we have different web pages. And yes, for this, the structure is this, or the syntax rather is this. When you have two tags, right? Then you write in between them. That's how you display anything you want to display on your browser, right? You write in between them. Whatever you're writing, maybe in this tag now, this is the opening tag of H1 tag, right? Whatever you're writing inside there will not show on your browser. And it's called attributes. I will explain that in our next class, okay? I'll explain that in our next class. So, yes, just to recap, the in HTML tags, we have some tags that are opening, that has opening and closing tags, right? We also have some that has only opening tags, just one tag, right? Which is, for example, this meta. We also have image tags, which just have, it doesn't have a closing tag, right? It's used to insert images. You can see for everything you want to do on your web page, it has a tag for it. So it's structured in a way that when you look at it, it will make sense. Okay? It will make sense. Then Okay. So we also have so what I want you to do is this. You can go online after today's class. You can research more on tags, right? Research more on tags so you understand more about it. You understand more about the tags. Okay. So today we wrote our first web page or first HTML program, right? It is hello world using the H1 tag. Now, I can call these documents, I can call this program. It could be a website or a web page. So I could be using these words interchangeably. When I say document, it still means this HTML file, right? So don't get confused about that. So yeah, some of you asking for the extensions. Yeah, these extensions are just to help you. Like I mentioned the live server now. You can see the work of the live server. It's making it easier for us to work. Don't need to go back and forth. It will save you time of reloading your web browser. Okay. So I know you guys have a lot of questions, especially those who have not really getting in touch or who have not really encountered these tags before now. It's fine. That's why I tried explaining bit by bit from scratch. So we all started from here. For those who have been writing small codes, it was looking funny the first time we opened the code editors, right? It was looking funny. It was looking foreign and confusing. It's normal. It's not your fault, okay? All you have to do is to research more. Go back now, research more on this, try to understand it. Okay, whichever one is confusing, feel free to ask your questions. I can bring it to the next class if your question wasn't answered in the Discord channel. Okay. Yes. Now, this is what the meta tag does for you. Right? Now, the meta tag provides the character set. The character set is kind of a standard, a character standard for the HTML documents, right? Then these things are for the browser. These are for the browser. These are the viewports. These are the contents. It does with the responsiveness. Yeah. So these things, you don't need to cram them though. You don't need to cram them. You don't need to cram them. Okay. So just what you need to understand. Yeah, I need to also say that you need to understand the tags. You don't need to cram them. Okay. You don't need to cram them. Now, this is the structure. This is the structure for the HTML documents, right? You have this very one at the very top. You have the HTML tag that is housing every other thing on the web page, right? You have the head tag, which describes the documents and further provides information for the browser, right? And this body tag, by standard, is whatever that you want to display on the browser. This is where it should be, inside the body tag. it has opening and closing, right? Every other tag will be inside the body tag, right? Except this one's not outside the body tag. So this is the standard structure of a HTML page, right? So yeah, I know we have a lot of questions, so you can ask your questions now, so I can take them.
So if you want to ask it, you can always indicate by raising up your hand. Okay, I'm seeing Trude. Okay.
Thank you.
So you can ask your
I have-
question.
okay, thank you. I have a question. It seems that the only programming languages we'll be doing are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But according to what I've heard, isn't that only for front end? How about back end aspects?
Okay. Yes, it's only for front end. Back end, we have other languages, right? We have programming languages for back end. Okay. But we are talking about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript because the program we are running is for front end development, right?
Yeah.
So we have different language for back end programming or back-end parts of a website. Now, JavaScript is the only language in this front end. Remember, HTML is not a document, is not a language, right? Is a web document, right? It's used in structuring the web pages, right? Then JavaScript is the programming language that adds interactivity to the web pages.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please let me add something you said, Mr. Moshe. So
Okay.
that was Trude, ba? Okay, so Trude, so yes, this program for web development is not just for front end and for back end. Paid attention in our onboarding session, sorry. So we said that we are trying to equip you so you'll be able to make the choice of either front end or back end later on. So, but you should know that these are the basics. Now, there are some things. So what he taught today, like we said, was basically like an introduction to the web, how the web works, and file organization. So these are things that you should know as a web developer. Forget the idea that it's HTML or it's CSS or it's JavaScript. That is not what it is. Even as a back-end developer, you're expected to know a certain level of HTML and CSS. You get, I even have a friend, one of the running jokes in Genesis, is that a full stack developer is a back-end developer that has knowledge of CSS. I don't know if you get this thing I said now. You might not get it now, but maybe subsequently. So don't worry about if it's for front end. These are basic things that you should know as a web developer. You should be able to know how to write some front end, how to write some HTML code, how to write some CSS code, you get. But these are not principally just for front end. In time, when you're not growing and you'll not be knowing more, you'll be able to diversify and now focus more on the back end. But they are to a certain level as a back end developer, you're expected to know HTML, expected to know CSS. You can't be a back end developer making APIs and endpoints for the front end, and you don't know how your endpoints will be used. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Can you answer today? So I'll get you if you're getting me. Or has it left the meeting? So, but I hope that someone is understanding what I'm trying to say. You get. So don't worry about if it seems like it's only front end. You are expected to know these particular things. So let's go on to If I can ask you a question. Hello, Ifeanyi. I've unmuted you before now. Why are you not speaking? Okay, if Ifeanyi cannot speak, then I think we should just move on to the next person. Ufoma.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, please speak.
Okay. So there's this question I saw on the document. It says it was the other guy was making programming language. So I think was asking.
Well, I can't hear you clearly. I don't know if Moshe, can you hear him? Because I can't hear you clearly.
No, I can't hear him too.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so the question is HTML and CSS with JavaScript, are they all the three of them, are they all programming languages?
Moshe, would you want to take the...
If they are not, then what are they? Thank you.
Okay. HTML is a markup language, right? It's a markup language, not a programming language, right? Not a programming language. Markup language now, I mean, is just used for the structure of the web pages. It doesn't do anything other than structuring the web pages, right? Then CSS is just beautifying that structure. Then JavaScript is the programming language because it has the features of programming language, and it's used to add interactivity to the markup language. I don't know if that's enough explanation. Ufoma, can you confirm? I don't know if that was
I don't know where he went to. He was just here a moment ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I think his question was answered, Sha. I think his question was answered.
Okay, I think Big Mike is raising his hand.
Yes, Big Mike.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mike.
Yeah, when it comes to the tags, I know the websites also have like, is it possible for one to have more than one header 1 or header 2 tags in a website? And is there a different way to represent it in the Visual Studio Code? I think that will be it.
Okay, sorry if how do you mean a different way to represent it? Okay, first of all, now by standard, you're supposed to have one H1 in your document, right? One H1, then you can have as many as other heading tags. The H2, you can have more than one. The H3, you can have more than one, till the H6. But the H1 is advised to have it only once in your document. Like if it is the index now, you could have only one H1. Maybe in your about page, you can then have another H1. And because of screen readers, that's what we call screen readers. These are for visually impaired users. You know, when you're building a program or a website, you also include, because you don't know who your user might be. It might be a blind person, it might be a deaf person. Yeah. So that's why you have to also include all users, right? So screen readers now, they read the documents out for the person, the visually impaired person, right? That's why when you have, okay, we talk more on that in our next class. You have semantic tags, okay? Then you, just like image tag, just like in our image tag. Okay, let me quickly show you something. Just like our image tag, right? Now, this is why you insert the image or the link to your image. And this alternative is very important. Sometimes most people omit it, but it's important for screen readers. Maybe this image is where you put your profile picture, right? So it's advised in your, this alt means alternative. You can write your profile picture, right? Then, now this is what the screen reader will read. It will not, because the person is not seeing the image, right? The screen reader will rather read out this to the person that, okay, here is a profile picture for the person. So that's why the H1 is important. So when the screen reader comes across it, it will interpret it as a header of the document. I don't know if I answered your question.
Okay, I don't know if you went away. So, but let's just move to the next person. That's Ayamene Ibube. So Ibube, you can speak. You have been...
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've actually been learning on my own for a while now. Just the little issue I have here is, what I say, I actually need a community, like people I can actually interact with. Will I say I'm more of a lone wolf, so I just needed people that can actually interact with. That's one of the reasons why I joined the Genesis upskill. But 100% of what you have actually taught, what you have been teaching, is just the same thing I've been learning over. So you're actually doing a great job. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Ebube. That was great. So yes, you have a community now, right? You have a community now. You can also join other communities in your locality, right? It's important. I started as a loner, right? I started as a self-learner, learning alone. It was difficult for me to move forward because maybe if I have an issue, it might stay up to 1 month, whereas I can simply ask in a community, and within minutes, someone who has already passed through that stage or had similar problem will proffer solution. That's the benefit of communities. So try to join and participate in communities. It's very important. I think Chika should be the last person.
Yeah, she can be the last person.
Right. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Okay. My question is just a simple question. When the facilitator was talking about creating HTML file, as per creating folders, CSS folder, JavaScript folder, and other folders, then he said that the HTML file should be at the root folder. So my question is, why should the HTML file be at the root folder instead of creating a folder also for the HTML file?
Okay, thank you. Now, the index, Okay, you're talking about the whole HTML folders. Okay, it should be in the root folders. The reason why I created folders for other files is because to like arrange it well, to make it look tidy, right? That's for other HTML for the HTML files. They're in the root folder because other ones we are created folder for. When we started, or when I started it, they were all in the same root folder, right? But I created separate folders for them so as to make things look neat. And I also mentioned you don't have to put the index. Even if you put other HTML files in a folder, right? Even if you put them in a folder, let the index also remain in the root folder. Why? Because the browser will search for the index file. That index file, the browser will search it in the root folder. It cannot go into folders to look for index file. That's why it has to be in the root folder. Okay. Yeah, if you want, you can also put the HTML files in a different folder. I know some people, they structure their own in the way that they create style sheets differently for each page, right? Maybe for about page, you have about.css. So they put their two in a folder too. I don't know if you're getting me. So some people structure it that way. But now the basic thing to do is just to like the CSS files, you just put them in a different folder on its own. The JavaScript file, the same thing. The images, same thing. Okay, so it looks more neat that way. I don't know if I answered your question well. I don't know if I answered the question. Chika, the person that asked the question, sorry.
That was Chika. It was Chika.
Okay, yeah, sure, I'm correct.
Okay, I don't know why these guys. This will be the last people who take this. Kingsley and Kenechuko, please just try to be very, very brief. Please, so we can just do it. It's almost it's 7 after 10 now. So Kingsley, you can go.
That one is not even a point. I just want to know if the recorded this thing will be sent to us on the Discord channel. A recorded link of all we learned this evening, if it will be sent to us so that we can refresh our memories.
The recorded
Because
session of this session or the previous one?
Yeah, of this one now we just had.
Okay, it's currently being recorded. When we are done, we'll make it available to you guys in due time.
All right, that's all I want to add.
Thank you. Thank
Okay, good evening, sir. Hello?
you. We can hear you. Go on.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the work. I really appreciate. Please, I want to get, my question is that based on the metal tag that you talked about, you didn't really like give explanation on it. Like I didn't understand what you talked about the meta tags.
Okay, I said the meta tags, they are just for the browser, right? They kind of give more information to the browser about the document. It doesn't show on your web page, or it doesn't show on your browser. It's just part of your HTML document that doesn't display on your browser, right?
Okay.
So it doesn't display on your browser. It's just more information about. You can see that you can get this online, right? You can get these things online. So you don't need to cram it. You just need to understand what this thing means. You just need to understand it. Okay, so it just gives out more information about the document.
Okay, so there is like this place that they said name, the viewports, like there is nothing, it's supposed to be like that. We're not supposed to add anything inside or remove anything.
Is a standard, is a standard. It's not something you generate on your own.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's a standard. Although there are other things you might add on your own, but this three now, they are just the standard kind of description or content that is supposed to be here.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Yeah. You can also go ahead and research more about the meta tags.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I think that is all for today. So, like I always say, thank you all for coming. This is always in your best interest, and we want to thank Mr. Moshe for giving us 2 hours of his time out of 24 hours today to teach us this. And I'm glad that he not just teach it, he taught it very well. And like from the things you guys said, it was a very, very, what is it called? It was a very, very fruitful class and profitable class to you guys. So please, let's comment in the chat section. Let's tell Mr. Moshe thank you. It's not easy. It's honestly not easy. He's taking, it's not easy. Please, let's give him our thanks in the comment section. And also, for you guys too, you guys deserve a thankful too, because some of you, it's not easy because coming back from work and everything you are doing and having to stay from 8 to 10. It's not easy. So we are grateful for all of you, and we're also grateful for you attending the class. And I'm sure that you guys must have learned something. So like I said, today's session will be made available to you guys in due time. I have to send it to Goodness too. She has to review it first before I can release it to you guys. And same with the last one from yesterday. So by next week, you'll be getting it. So Mr. Moshe, I sent you something before. I don't know if you saw it, about an assignment.
Yes, please, pardon me. I will drop it in the Discord channel.
Okay, no problem. Yes, I was thinking that would be better. So you could just take your time to detail it. So we'll just be in contact. Maybe by tomorrow, I could get something from you.
Yeah, sure.
So tomorrow, guys, you will be expecting to see your first assignment, and I think one thing I will do, I will drop some links and more like, what is it called, links and resources to learn based on what Mr. Moshe had taught today. You get, so remember that someone, for example, said something here that what he was looking at gaining is community. Now you're not only learning from your facilitators and your mentors here, you'd also be learning from your community. You can also ask anybody any question. That is people that are on this same track with you. I hope you get what I mean. So don't be jittery, don't fear and everything. You'll be fine. So with all of this, we have come to the end of today's session and this week's session. So I hope to see you guys by next week Friday. Thank you all for coming. So you can vacate the meeting. I remember the last person to leave our meeting is the lizard. So let's see who is the last person to leave.